người, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với Pajama Talk Season 2. Ngày hôm nay chúng mình có một khách mời rất là đặc biệt, đó chính là Jennifer Dao.
Hi everyone, xin chào các mọi người. Hôm nay Jennifer rất là happy để tới Pajama Talk với Kelly. Thank you so much for having me on Pajama Talk. A little bit about myself is that I'm born in Toronto my whole life and I'm Vietnamese and I'm really excited to be here to share my experience. So I'm super happy.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Hi Jennifer, are you comfortable with Vietnamese or English for today?
Thank you for asking, Kelly. To be honest, I'm gonna try and do both, especially to make my parents proud. They might watch this. So Jennifer, hôm nay sẽ try để nói một chút tiếng Việt mà chắc là nhiều English hơn.
That's okay. So just to begin with, we're gonna have a little bit of the icebreaker game, just so you're more comfortable with.
Okay.
It's very simple. It's just this or that game. So I'm gonna give you like some options, and then you can pick it.
Let's do it.
And let's do it. Shall we start?
Sorry.
Champagne or wine?
Ooh, champagne.
Champagne?
Champagne.
You like the sparkling?
I need that bubbly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Pajama, naked.
Oh, don't watch. Pajama.
Pajama? Okay. Beer or liquor shot?
Liquor shot. Faster.
Wow.
Faster.
Hitting to the point, huh?
Very much.
Mountain or ocean?
Ocean.
House party or club?
Club? Club?
Ooh. And then MC or modeling?
MC.
MC?
Yeah.
Coffee or tea?
Café Suda.
Oh, that's actually gonna be my next one.
Oh, is that your next one? Oh.
It's okay. So black coffee or Viet iced coffee?
Viet iced coffee,
Viet iced
100%.
So pho pasta.
Pho pasta. Wow, that's like really the Western Vietnamese.
Yeah,
now.
I know.
Wow. Pho.
Okay, so the very last one, Lunar New Year, Christmas.
Oh, I love that.
I know, it's very hard.
Oh my goodness.
I love them both.
That is seriously a tough question.
I know.
Christmas.
Okay, yeah. I understand it because you're born here, so.
Well, it's the snow and like Santa Claus.
So you get a gift for every Christmas, like the Santa secrets, games.
I found out very young that Santa is not real, but I still got a gift every year.
Smart.
Yes, I still got a gift. I was very lucky.
What would you like the most about Christmas?
Probably watching Home Alone with my parents was a very big tradition. And then also having very good food. It would be like fusion, so like turkey with like bún thịt nướng, and then like spring rolls, and then like just fruit cake and stuff. So it was like lots of food.
There's still Vietnamese food in your Christmas party, right?
Yes, my mom makes very good Vietnamese food, so always have to have some of it every party.
Yeah, I mean like Lunar New Year or Christmas, they both have the same meaning, so it's like reunion kind of thing. So it doesn't matter like which one you choose, it's still the same. So that really brings us to the topic for today. So we're gonna be talking about like you guys like life as a F1 immigrants. So that's our topic for today. So I have a couple questions that I've been very curious about. Have you been to Vietnam?
Yes, so Jennifer có về Việt Nam mấy lần trước rồi. Probably from childhood till a couple years ago. So I have been a few times, typically in the summer. So thường là Jennifer về lúc mùa hè. It's very, very nóng. So I have never been any other time of the year because of school and stuff, but I feel like when I was a kid and I went back, like all I remember was just like mosquitoes everywhere, lots of heat, and just lots of family members. The older that I got and I went back, I felt like I really valued the culture more and my heritage. So just learning more about history and visiting my grandparents, and like the culture shock of the busy streets was definitely very new for me because I'm so used to always looking and following the signs when I'm crossing the roads. But in Vietnam, it's like chaos. So definitely that was a big culture shock. But honestly, it didn't feel so foreign for some reason.
Because you're still Vietnamese, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I kind of, I'm like, I kind of
ways.
blend in, but like, I definitely feel like a little bit of an outsider. But I think that every time I go, it's like, it feels like different. It's so weird.
Just curious, were you able to jaywalking?
No.
You went back?
No,
right?
Jennifer sợ quá. Bấm còi một lần, Jennifer chạy. I'm like, nope, I am not going.
I know, it's very hard.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I can. Have you ever, speaking of your families, so have you ever feel any pressure from your parents that like you have to carrying the Vietnamese culture or the traditions?
I think that when I was younger, I felt a lot of pressure to carry the tradition. It's specifically to learn the language because my parents don't speak a lot of English. They came here about 30 years ago. So me being born here and obviously speaking English so young, I had to do a lot of translations. I'm sure a lot of immigrant children of immigrant parents can relate to that. So I did feel pressure to like learn the Vietnamese language because that was the only way I could communicate with my parents. But in terms of traditions and cultures, I don't really feel that pressured. But deep down inside, I really want to, just because I see a lot of importance. And I'm very grateful that I got to experience a lot of Vietnamese cultures and traditions growing up, because it makes me feel like I want to like keep learning, and like it makes it feel like different, because if you like don't really celebrate another culture, it could be like just very like one-sided maybe. So I kind of put that pressure on myself as I got older. Yeah.
So it's not from your parents, it's from you.
No, bố mẹ không bao giờ áp lực though.
Yeah, that's so nice.
It's just me. Yeah.
They're so pleasant, like, yeah.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah. So as a Vietnamese Canadian, what makes you be proud of who you are?
There's so many things. I can't always say that I was always proud to be Vietnamese. Like I felt like excluded sometimes growing up from school, and just like, you know, limited restaurant options and just different events. Like that was really small in my household because no one else in my neighborhood is Vietnamese, and a lot of my parents' extended family don't live here, so it's typically just my immediate family. I feel like what makes me feel really proud is like historically and geographically, Vietnam is a very small country. On the map, it's very small. When people think of Southeast Asia, it's probably not one of the top countries that pop up based on the neighboring countries. So I feel like I'm very proud because it's like an underdog country that has evolved and has a lot of global outreach now, and has a lot of attention around the world because of the very talented people in Vietnam, the environment, and the types of products that are being supplied. So all to say is that I'm very proud to be Vietnamese because it is a smaller country, and especially in Canada, although we are very diverse and multicultural, like it's still, you know, the community is still very small in Canada and North America. So to be part of anything Vietnamese related here, I feel very, very proud to be involved.
Yeah, so what have you done to kind of keep it up and then be proactive of carrying on the Vietnamese cultures in Canada?
I love that question. I honestly feel like it just comes from within. Like my parents never pressured me to like, you know, go to any sort of organization or community to volunteer. I have really spent a lot of time in my youth exploring my other identity, which is Vietnamese. And like I honestly just love emceeing, and I love to be around people who enjoy similar things with me, and I find a lot of Vietnamese community is like that, and very forgiving, very patient, very talented people. So just to be even around them is I'm trying every day to be more involved because I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I know, because I've been seeing you like volunteering a lot within the communities, and then be a part of who we are today.
That's how we met, was volunteering.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I remember we met through UVSA, right?
Was it the summit, the leadership summit, or before that? I can't remember.
I think before that.
Okay.
Because we just like we are the member, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so it was very like fun memory of me, and then so glad that I got to meet with a lot of you guys, like awesome, cool people that we still have, like we still keep in touch like nowadays. Like with you, for
I know.
example.
Like when you invited me, I was so happy because like you're doing such great things with the community, and I'm just so honored again. I'm gonna keep saying that.
Thank you for coming here again. Especially I feel like we are in Canada, and Canada is like a multicultural country, so you have a chance to like get to interact with different cultures.
Yeah.
So very nice, even with the food, people, and all the cultures. Speaking of that, what's your experience when you have the chance to kind of interact with like other immigrants or international students, for example? How do you feel like when you first working or get to interact like with them?
Yeah.
Do you feel any difference? Or?
I think when I was younger, to be honest, like I wasn't really exposed to a lot of immigrant students because of the area and the geography that I was in, so I didn't really get a lot of exposure. It wasn't until probably university that I was more exposed to different cultures and immigrant students, or international students, sorry. So that's kind of when I got the exposure, and it was really eye-opening because I felt like, wow, you're so cool, like you know like multiple languages, you have other traditions, you wear different types of clothing. So that's kind of when I was exposed, and definitely I'm so grateful that I'm able to meet people from different diverse backgrounds. So definitely until I got older in the university days is when I was exposed.
So yeah, that's pretty much the chance that we met up.
You're right, absolutely.
VSA, right?
Yes.
It was very nice. Yeah, I got to meet with a lot of you guys. We also think that you are cool too. Like you guys are cool too, cause like honestly, I love your guys' accent. Don't ever feel hesitate to like speak it up.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
But it's so cute. Like honestly, I'm gonna share a little bit, since you already shared your experience with like interacting with international students. So I'm gonna share a little bit about my experience when I first have the chance to like interact with you guys. Just so our point of view, like my point of view. So really remember, it's like 11 years ago.
That's a long time ago.
I know.
Whoa.
Can't imagine, I've been here for 11 years. So I went to high school in here. So it's like a public high school in Jane and Finch area. So you may or may not know, that's an area with a lot of Vietnamese people lives in there. So there weren't much of the international at that time too in my high school. So there's only one of them, literally. But there's a few of the immigrants like me, right? So we hang out as a group. And then, but there's a lot of the Viet born Canada, like you guys here.
Okay.
And then to me, it's a little bit bad experience.
Oh no.
So yeah, so one day, me and my other immigrant friends, we were talking with each other in Vietnamese, right? Obviously, we just came for like a few months, and then our English, it wasn't that good. And then we're talking, and then there's a Viet girl, like the Viet born Canada, who came to us, and she'd be like, hey, why you guys keep talking Viet here? Like, you guys in Canada, and you should talk English. And we were looking at each other, and we'd be like, but we didn't really talk to you. So what's the point here? Like, why? That's pretty much my experience, so that I came to realize that throughout my 11 years, I realized that there are two separate groups of you guys. I don't mean to group you guys as a group, but it's just my experience. So I just just think it that way. So the very first group, that's like similar to her like experience that I just told you. I'm gonna be honest. So they a little bit bitchy on us, and they kind of looked down on us in some way. And then the second group, obviously with you guys, very nice people, friendly, helpful. You guys just treat us as like everyone else.
Oh yeah.
There's no like gap. Like we're just human, right? We're all people by the end of the day. So I was just wondering if you have crossed any like similar situation, or you have heard perhaps from someone about what the reason behind. Because I personally, I'm very curious about like why they doing that to us. And she's not the only one. Like that, I've seen some people like that too.
Oh.
So I kind of curious if you know, because I really want to, you know, the audience, maybe perhaps someone already have experience, like similar experience with me, so they can have like, let's say there's a reason behind. If there's any, if you know any that you could share with us.
Well, firstly, thank you for sharing that story, Kelly. I'm, you know, that's a very vulnerable story, and of course, like that is a really impactful experience that you endured. Like that's not a very friendly interaction, and that kind of makes you feel like less than somebody, which is very wrong, of course. And so I'm really sorry you experienced that. I feel like I may not. So I'll just clarify and just say that anything that I talk about is my own experience, and I can't speak for Vietnamese Canadian or Canadian born people here. But I think that sometimes what happens is there's a lot of internal like resentment or judgment that happens maybe based on what I experienced. Like growing up, I felt like my parents often talked about their childhood, often talked about the comparison between Canadians or young Canadians versus young Vietnamese in Vietnam, and how like Vietnamese youth are like different. They work harder. They already know how to cook rice at 8 years old apparently, and I didn't learn until I was like 20 years old, you know. So there's a lot of like comparisons that were made from my parents about like, oh, người nước ngoài nó tới đây nó chịu khó hơn. So it's like, oh my gosh, like again, all of that comparison. So it could be that when there is a Vietnamese native or an international student from Vietnam, there could be like that internal like judgment or like resentment, like, oh, like this is the type of person that my parents would compare me to perhaps. And because to be honest, I will admit, like a lot of my Vietnamese friends who are international students, their math skills are like next level. Like they are so smart. They, you know, it's just very different. And so that could be part of the reason why someone, especially who is Canadian born Vietnamese, who may not speak Vietnamese, but hearing other people speak Vietnamese, they could feel, you know, kind of like belittled in the other way, like similar how you may have felt. The other person may have felt belittled too, like, oh, like my parents always pressure me to go to Vietnamese school on Sunday, but I don't go, and because I don't know how to speak, and these people are speaking, like I'm less than them. So it's really weird that like two sides could feel like that same kind of resentment or like inferiority over them. That's just my observation. I think for me, like the language barriers that you face, maybe not as relatable for me. Vietnamese language is a secondary here for me, so it's optional, and so I mean maybe less because at home I have to speak it, but in terms of like reading and writing, like I am not fluent at all. So like that is like optional for me. I think the barriers that I face that maybe is not so relatable to you, but is probably to do with like cultural. So not necessarily like different food, or like you like spicy food, I can't do spicy food. It's kind of more like cultural standards or norms or expectations in society. I personally felt like, with my own experience, when I visited Vietnam, I felt like an outsider, even though like I could speak the native tongue and, you know, get by conversationally just based on appearance. I feel like in what I experienced in Vietnam is like people are dressed very differently because of reputation, because of, I guess, like beauty standards that were set in that country, in Asia specifically. You know, skinnier, white skin meant that you're more wealthy. You know, wanting to look like a foreigner or like European of some sort. Like I felt like that I couldn't really understand. So, you know, in Canada, I felt like when there's international students that would come and they dress very well, but people here like dressed in like yoga pants and hoodie and Uggs, and
very comfortable.
That's like the normal, but like that probably wouldn't be acceptable or as acceptable in Vietnam, for example. So I just kind of felt like the barrier that I face is just like the culture with the norms of beauty and physical appearance, and just kind of like that more. But I mean, I think it's something that I'm slowly accepting, and I think the world is evolving too.
Yes.
So the standards in general are changing, but definitely that was a barrier that I felt like, wow, this is so challenging.
I know, yeah, exactly. I totally understand. I pretty much share with youth about being here in Canada, but we still get to celebrate our cultures here. There's not so many places that we can do that. But as in Canada, we are a multicultural country, and then we get to celebrate. And then I was surprised that we have a lot of like political organization or the government organization. They actually encourage us to like showcase our culture here.
Yeah.
So that's also one thing that I'm kind of proud as being a Vietnamese
Right?
Canadian here.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much wrap up. And then if there's one thing that you would like to share with our audience for today's, what would you talk to them?
Yeah, I think definitely like what you said, like owning who you are, being proud of who you are, and just knowing that other people, if they judge you or bully you in some sort of way, that's really on them and it's not you. And it's you just have to continue to being yourself, because everybody faces, you know, these judgments in life. But I think for one thing that I'm very proud of, being a Vietnamese Canadian born, like culture and heritage is such a wonderful thing to keep exploring, because it makes you feel more connected to your ancestors, to your parents, and just part of who you are in your DNA. And there's just so many ways to explore culture, and I just really want people who are, you know, facing that dual identity crisis with culture and identity, is just like keep exploring and go at your pace and be involved if you want to be, but just also know that you're not alone in feeling lost sometimes, or feeling burdened or judged. You know, with our conversation, like it goes both ways. Like we both face different battles,
Yes.
but we're related in some way. So definitely I feel like just keep exploring who you are, be proud, and just take advantage of all of the communities and resources that Canada has, because there's a lot. And yeah, I think that's like the biggest message.
I think that you pretty much say all I want to say. So yeah, so thank you so much again and again for coming here today and sharing your thoughts and your own experience. And I learned a lot from our conversation today. And to conclude, I would like to have a small gift to you.
What?
Yeah, and I hope that you like it. Here you go. Thanks so much for coming.
Kelly. Oh my goodness, that's so awesome.
Yeah,
well,
thanks so much.
come on once more. I'm really, really honored to be here for Pajama Talks. So yeah, thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.